Welcome back, everyone. This is Austin Reville on our From the Vault series with 2FXC Tactical, located right here in New Prague, Minnesota, featuring unique and rare firearms that come through our shop. Our From the Vault series has really been a joy to film, and we're going to continue to do that. And we have so many guns that keep showing up that are unique and historical. We're also going to start a new channel with reviews that will be coming out here shortly, so I do hope you check that out, which will feature more modern guns, and we want to keep the From the Vault series specifically about historical guns. With that being said, for all those of you that have helped our channel grow, please like, comment, subscribe. We've had such an explosion of support of our channel, and we really appreciate that. We would like you to continue to do that and help us reach and beat that algorithm. With that being said, today we have a very cool pistol, and it's considered one of the best pistols of World War II. And it also features a very unique history in the fact it fought against the Nazis and for the Nazis, all in the same conflict. So today we have the VIS the VIS 35 made by Radom. Now, if you look at this gun, right, from the profile, you go, well, that looks like a 1911. Well, that's because it's kind of considered a copy of the 1911. It features kind of a conglomerate of the high power and 1911 all in one pistol. And this is really where this gun gets very interesting, because this was designed in 1930 in Poland. It would go into full production by 1935 in Poland with the Radom factory. Now, 1939 would come along, and Nazi Germany would invade and eventually conquer Poland. That would be the big kickoff for what would become World War II. With that being said, the Polish army knew they needed an upgrade of pistols. So they put in an order of 90,000 of these. These were designed, and again, heavily inspired, if not copied, by the M1911A1 by John Moses Browning, and rechambered in 9mm, though there was a very limited run of 45 ACP variants of this, but broadly speaking, 9mm designed, featuring that Luger round that would become the standard issue round to this day. So in some ways this was ahead of its time. It would feature many of the same features that the 1911 would have. Obviously you have your grip safety right here. You would have your safety mechanism right here. The one big addition is you got a decocker right here, and this one doesn't. There you go. It's a little sticky there to mark the weapon safe. Now this is again, single action only gun. You can see there I'm squeezing the trigger, nothing happens, because you would have to recock it in order to engage. Now these guns would fight against Nazi Germany on the side of the Poles. They would deliver just under 50,000 of the original 90,000 ordered by the Polish military by the time the invasion happened. Unfortunately, we know the outcome of that. The Germans would end up winning. Now, when it came to the workers on this pistol, they would end up smuggling out thousands of parts for this pistol out of the factory, and that would serve in the home front armory and the underground against the Nazis all the way up through the war with reassembled pistols. But unlike, and this is kind of unlike Germany in a lot of ways, Germany's designs of their guns are all German-based. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they weren't produced elsewhere. So, for instance, we take the K98K. Yes, they made those in the DOT Czech factories. They did make them there. But they were a German design made inside Germany. This was not. However, the Germans really liked it. When they came into contact with them and took a broader peek to them, they decided to reopen the Radom factory and make these for themselves. So it's a very interesting and kind of unusual. They would issue these out to German officers and German military members, especially on the Eastern Front, which is why this is unlike any other World War II pistol, with the exception of maybe the FN high power in Belgium, which we'll do a video on that at some point here in the future, because we have one of those. So with that being said, they enjoy these pistols, despite the fact they ended up being a thorn in their side, because the home front in Poland would reassemble these and use them in their clandestine underground activities to overthrow the Nazi occupiers. Unfortunately for Poland, though, the Soviets would be the ones to liberate them. And of course, there's the famous Warsaw Pact. They would be stuck behind that infamous Iron Curtain. And these pistols would just go out of service. Now, they did make some runs of this version of pistol. Even 2017 to present, there are some limited runs of those still in Europe that they make. But the ones we're really interested in are ones like this. So this particular one has some nice German stamping. It's right there. It does show a good bit of holster wear on it. So this one has been heavily used, I would say. Overall, very good functioning pistol. Again, featuring that kind of 1911 overall profile. The grip angle is a little bit different, but over that, it's very similar. The slide lock, again, very similar to a 1911, and even the safety, very similar to the 1911 right here. With that being said, the Germans would go on and request hundreds of thousands of these. They would not end up producing as many as, say, the P-38 or even the Luger. These would not end up being in the full production of the way that, you know, well, I shouldn't say the Luger. They produce more of them than the Luger. That's not fair. But the P-38 obviously was the standard issue sidearm of World War II for the Germans. This was definitely an alternative that they had, which is kind of the theme of all sides in World War II. So we've gone through a bunch of historical pistols that we have on the German side. Unlike in today's military where there's a standard issue sidearm, that's not true historically speaking. It was basically whatever they could get their hands on, and if it worked well, they were interested in. So we saw the Mauser HSC, we saw the J.P. Sauer and Son 38H that was used. We saw the, the VIS P35, the P38, there was the FEG model P37, the Luftwaffe used, the Astra 400. The list goes on and on and on. There wasn't necessarily a standard issue sidearm. Every unit had something different, and for different purposes and different reasons why they had it. A lot of it, though, did end up coming out of just the manufacturing of items. So Germany, obviously Berlin, heavily bombed throughout the war. They were looking to outsource production of guns anywhere and everywhere they could to get them on the front lines, and this ended up being one of them. Now, with that being said, I do actually think this is one of the better guns of World War II. This is why they are highly sought after by collectors. It is featuring a 9mm cartridge. It's got the 1911 reliability, and it has the uniqueness of serving on both sides. So that's something that the high power, for instance, doesn't really have that answer. Because Belgium didn't, I'm not going to say they didn't put up a fight, but it was a very quick conquering where the Poles fought tooth and nail to keep their country free. Unfortunately, they lost, and that is true. But we see that fighting spirit among the Polish people to this day. The downside for these pistols post-war, unfortunately, was the fact that the Soviets ended up becoming the occupying force of Poland. So when they took over all of Poland, they basically killed the production of this particular gun. This was done because of the Warsaw Pact, which means that whatever the Soviets want, they got, and your personal opinions and hopes and dreams live in Moscow, and whatever Moscow says, you do. So the T-33 pistol, Tokarev type pistol, which I don't currently have, I do have a Yugo M57, very similar pistol. It was considered a much inferior gun to this. I would agree with that. This is a much better gun. However, that was the standard issue Polish pistol, and that was done just simply because the Russians told them to, and this kind of just went away. So these are kind of getting rare. You're not seeing a lot of the VIS P35, or I keep saying P35, VIS Model 35, excuse me there, from Radom out there. And I really appreciate that. So you got the FB right here, stamp on the grip, pistol grip. You have the Radom, FB Radom. The FB is just part of the Radom name. Nice inlay, serial numbers. I don't know, this pistol, when you pick it up, it fits. It's a larger pistol, it's a little bit heavier, but if you're a 1911 lover, you will love this one. This is really where the high power would go on to see great success post-War II. Yes, it has a history in World War II, and we will get into that. This is kind of largely forgotten in a lot of ways. Military collectors like myself always get very excited to see them. They're getting kind of expensive, unfortunately, to collect these particular guns. Now, with that being said, this one did come with the nice holster. This holster is from 1934, so this holster was early production for this. Now, these wouldn't go into full-bore production in 1935, so that probably indicates that this holster was made for a different pistol. It has some stampings on it. It's pretty faint, hard to see. Compared to the other holsters that got traded in, this one's in a little bit worse shape. It does have a second magazine here, which is very tight in the holster, which is very cool. But overall, this presentation piece is really, really awesome. Now, when it comes to some of the other holsters we showed you, they had the captor's name and serial numbers. This one, unfortunately, does not, so we're not exactly sure where this one came from. But if you do have an opportunity to pick up a pistol such as this, I would highly encourage you to do so. The VIS 35 is a excellent firearm. You'll enjoy shooting it. And I do hope you could go check out the Forgotten Weapons video in terms of the internal mechanisms of how this works, the complete breakdown. It's extremely interesting, and again, kind of a marriage of both the European and American designs here, and it functioned very well. But I do hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, we'll see you then.